أحبائنا المشاهدين، بنحب نرحب بكم مرة تانية في حلقة جديدة من برنامجكم علاجك في بيتك. بنحب نرحب بدكتور جويس معنا هنا في الاستوديو. أهلا وسهلا بيكي ضيفتنا العزيزة. النهاردة عايزين نتكلم عن قوة الكمدات، فحابين نسألك النهاردة إيه هي الكمدات؟
It's a poultice is something that's warm and moist that's used to put directly on the skin for certain purposes. Sometimes it's infection, sometimes it's a wound, sometimes it's a swelling, and they are very effective actually.
طيب حابين نعرف النهاردة إزاي نعمل الكمدات دي.
What they're made of, we have some illustrations right here. Some poultices can be made of cabbage. You just grate the cabbage or cut it up very finely and apply it to the area. A little later we'll show you how to cover it. Some people slice onion and put the cut side of the onion on the part. You can also use a potato and grate it and apply that to the part. Cover it so it doesn't dry. But today we're going to be using something called charcoal. It's a black substance that we'll talk more about later. And we're going to mix it with flaxseed, bizrit katan. I think people are aware of that. And we're going to use the ground flaxseed to mix it with to keep it more moist and to add a little bit of an oily feel to it, which also helps it keep moist. And then flaxseed itself has a drawing power. So it's a good combination to put those together.
ممتاز، وده اللي بحبه في البرنامج بتاعنا، انه الحاجات اللي بنستخدمها بسيطة قوي وممكن نلاقيها في كل بيت معانا في الوطن العربي او في اي حتة في العالم. كل الحاجات دي تقريبا موجودة، فدي حاجة كويسة انه العلاجات متاحة في البيت بأشياء بسيطة. طيب حابين نعرف ازاي هنعمل او يعني ايه الانواع اللي ممكن نعملها من الكمدات.
Today we're going to make the charcoal poultice, right? And so we want to know a little bit more about charcoal.
تمام. هل هو ده الفحم العادي اللي بس أفرع محروقة وهو ده بيكون الشاركول؟
Yes. If you know much about how charcoal is made, it's formed by burning wood, or even in some countries, coconut shells in the ground where there's not much air. Not much air at all, and they pack the wood or the coconut shells very tightly together and put it in a hole in the ground, and then they cover it with maybe tin or something and then put earth over that as well. And they just leave a little bit of a vent so some air can get in to allow it to burn. So first they start it on fire and then they cover it. And so it will burn slowly for days, for several days. So they wait until it's all burned, and then they let it cool. Because if you take charcoal out while it's still hot, it'll burst into flame. So they let it cool completely before they take it. Now, this is something people could do in their own countries, in their own backyard, if they have a place. And so then after that, if you want to use it for medicinal purposes, then you want to break it up into smaller pieces and actually put it in a clay pot, heat it in a clay pot for 30 minutes or in an oven because you want to sterilize it. And then you grind it up into powder like this. And then you can use it for any purpose, infection, swelling, cuts and bruises, stings. Even they use it for snake bites. Now, snake bites can be very dangerous, and you have to change the poultice often. But it can be used for even snake bites, so it's quite amazing.
تمام. تقدري توضحي لنا طيب ايه هو الاستخدام الصحيح للفحم؟
Yes, charcoal has an interesting property. It has adsorption, which we know about absorption, which is like a sponge. But adsorption is different. That means that each little tiny piece of charcoal that we look at in here, well, no, let's take a measurement. 1 centimeter cube of charcoal has the ability to absorb, it has the surface area of 33 meters of a 33 meter field, each side. So all of those sides around that cube can absorb, have a surface to absorb things. So that's why we call it adsorb, and that's why it's so useful in poisonings, in noxious gases, and even people who've been exposed to petrol and some of those things. Taking it orally has helped them survive, whereas other people who didn't know about that actually passed away. So it's an amazing thing.
طيب ازاي نستخدمه الفحم ده؟
Both orally, actually, as I mentioned, and as a poultice. Orally, if for instance, a child takes his mother's medication or something, is rushed to the hospital, this is the first thing that they would give them. Orally, they would mix it with water and make sure the child drinks it. It doesn't look pleasant, and it doesn't really taste wonderful, but it's very effective of adsorbing that poison, and so that it doesn't get into the system. It's just held and then goes through the system enclosed in the pieces of charcoal that it go through, and so many people have survived, and even for drug overdoses they can and help people survive.
هو اعتقد ممكن نلاقي منه في الصيدليات معمولين ككبسولات، بس ده الشكل الطبيعي بتاعه، فاذا مش هنقدر ندوبه في الميه ويكون موقف صعب ان احنا نبلعه، ممكن ناخده بالكبسولة.
It is, but you just have to read. You have to read on the box to make sure it's not mixed with something else. One time, my husband was ill with hepatitis, and it's very good for hepatitis. And so I read the instructions of a natural remedy magazine, and I knew how much charcoal I should give him for this condition. So I got these pills from the pharmacy, and I gave them to him. What I didn't notice was that it was also mixed with something that was going to make his bowels move quickly. Poor thing. So I gave him a high dose. Poor thing.
Sorry.
He looked at me and he says, I think I have to go to the bathroom. Poor thing. But actually, you want to keep the bowels moving in hepatitis. So he survived very nicely, but you have to read because you don't want to get extra things.
الحمد لله انه على الاقل موجود بالطريقه الطبيعيه وسهل نعمله كمان زي ما حضرتك علمتينا دلوقتي انه ممكن يتعمل. طيب عايزين نعرف هل في طريقه معينه لاستخدام الفحم ده؟
Yes, like I said, orally. For instance, if somebody has gas or diarrhea, it's very good for that.
بيشربوا.
Yes, to mix it with a little bit of water and actually drink it.
ايه تاني ممكن نستخدم فيه الفحم؟
Well, the local application, you know, for bites, stings, cuts and bruises. But I remember an occasion one of the institutions that we're acquainted with had a graduation ceremony coming up on a weekend, and the ceremony went on long, and the lunch was out in the sun, and people got food poisoning. But there was a young man who knew about charcoal, and he went home and took it, and he didn't get any problem, whereas everybody who ate there was sick. It was kind of a bad situation. But anytime you're exposed to food poisoning or something, this will really solve it for you.
So لازم يكون معنا فحم في كل مكان بقى بنروح فيه.
Yes, actually. If you can get the tablets of just the charcoal, that's a wonderful thing to carry. I always carry it when I travel.
ممتاز. أنا بدأت أعمل كده كمان، إنه لقيت إنه كتير مهم وبيساعد على التخلص من الإسهال في مرات. إذا الحد مش قادر يستحمل أكلات من بلدان مختلفة، فممكن الفحم بيساعد إنه الواحد يفضل على حالته الطبيعية. تمام. طيب النهارده هتكلمينا أكتر عن الكمدات وإزاي هنعمل الفحم ونستخدمه ككمدات مفيدة لأجسامنا. طب عايزين نعرف ممكن إزاي نضيفه مع إيه غير، يعني حضرتك قلتي المية ممكن نضيفه مع مية، هل في بدائل أخرى ممكن نستخدمها؟
Actually, the one we're going to do today is the charcoal, and we're going to mix it with ground flaxseed.
ممتاز.
Because we want it to, actually flaxseed, if you mix it with water, is a little bit gel-like, and we want moisture to stay with the charcoal when we put it on as a poultice. So combining the two is very good because this helps it to be more jelly, and it also keeps it more moist, because you want, the more if it stays on moist the whole time, it's more effective than if it dries out. So, and so it's just 3 things:
ممتاز.
charcoal, flaxseed, and water today.
ممتاز. طيب نحب نعرف اكتر ايه التحذيرات اللي ممكن، او في مثلا بنتكلم عن الكمدات، ازاي ناخد بالنا ما نأذيش حاجه في جسمنا او جزء في جسمنا لو استخدمنا الفحم؟ هل ممكن ليه تأثير سلبي على الجلد؟
So you could put it directly on the skin, but what we do to keep it a little less messy, we use a paper towel, on which we'll show you soon, and then we just put it soaks through the paper towel, so it's on the skin, but it's not doesn't get crumbly and get all messy, and then we cover it with a plastic wrap to keep it in place and also keep it from drying out again. And then we can cover it with another cloth, ideally a wool cloth that keeps it warm, because a warm poultice is more effective than a cold one. And then cover it with that wool cloth or whatever, and either tape it or secure it in some way with pins or whatever so that it stays in place. And if you can leave it on overnight, that's good. If you are using it throughout the day while you're doing things, and after 4 hours you can change it or take it off. You know, some things heal very fast.
يعني نقدر نخليها وبعدين نغير، نحط مكانها مرة تانية لغاية لما الشيء يتحسن يعني.
And for things that are very serious like stings and bites, then you want to change it often.
طب هل في تحذيرات انه نستخدم الفحم؟ يعني مثلا اذا عندنا جروح في جلدنا او فتحات في الجلد، هل افضل انه نستبعد استخدام الفحم فيها؟ Is there any precautions that we should?
Yes, there are, because if you've just cut yourself, you want to maybe put something so that it will still draw, but it won't tattoo your skin, because it will tattoo an open wound. If it's a little bit old, if it's a day or two old, you don't have to worry about it so much. Or if it's an infection, it won't tattoo.
حابين تورينا النهارده ازاي هنعمل الفحم ونحوله لكمدات مفيدة لجسمنا.
So this is for the charcoal poultice, and we're going to add the charcoal and some of the flaxseed and this water has been boiled, but it's cooled now. If it's better if it's still warm, not hot, but still warm, because a warm poultice is more efficacious than a cold one. So we'll just pretend it's still warm. And so I'm going to start by putting the flaxseed in this bowl, and it seems to work well if you have equal amounts of flaxseed and charcoal. So we're going to just make a small one today, because I don't have a huge amount of charcoal here in this little jar. So we'll add. One thing you need to know about charcoal, when it's very fine like this, it's very, it will fly into the air. So you want to be very careful, and you don't ever want to breathe the powder. So let's see how we do here. See if it looks like we have about half and half. I think maybe we do. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water at a time until we get the right consistency. Just a little at a time. Because if you get too much, you can just add more things to it, but I don't have a lot of more things, so we'll just try to be careful with the water. I don't know if you can see, there's a bit of black cloud coming up from this bowl because of the very fine charcoal. I think we can use a little more water here. Now the nice thing about the flaxseed is it's, like we said, it's a little bit like gelatin. It's a little slimy, and so it'll help keep the charcoal moist.
أنا بفتكر أول مرة جربت فيها الفحم ده كان قبل الزايدة، كانت ملتهبة، وحطينا مرة الفحم ده، صديقة ليا عملت لي البيست دي، بس ما كان، مش فاكرة كانت مع فلاكسيد أو بس مية، يمكن زيت زيتون أفتكر كان.
Zayt zaytun is another good way. In fact, you can take that internally with charcoal. Mix it with and take it internally. It's very good for indigestion.
بتسحب كل السموم اللي موجودة تحت الجلد.
Okay, so I think that's going to make a nice little. I'm going to lay this on those gloves here and close this because I'll just put these things over here. So it looks pretty well mixed, and you can see it's sticking together now. So what I'm going to do next, because I'm going to be handling it a little more, and I might get it on myself, and it comes off your skin very nicely, but I have a couple of open places on my hand because of a lot of soap and water my hands have been in lately. So I'm just going to put these on as a precaution because, like I said, if you have an open wound, you can get black in there, and
عايزين
I don't want my hands to have
حابة
black
المشاهدين
marks.
كمان يخلوا بالهم لو إذا عندهم جرح أو شيء.
So what we're going to do first is to lay out a piece of plastic wrap, which is going to be covering the poultice. Can I move that a little bit? This is going to go around your arm. What do you think? That should be enough, right? Okay, we'll just cut that.
I think you have very small.
There we go. So we'll just lay this out. Now, over that, we're going to put, here I have a paper towel that's 2-ply, and I like it to really come through the paper towel without being too messy. So I'm just going to open this and use one layer. Now, if you have a thin cotton cloth, that's excellent to use, and it won't tear like this. But paper towel is a good way as well. Now I'm going to put the poultice on half of it and then put the other half of the paper towel over the poultice. Or over the charcoal at least. So we'll just put that over there. So now we're going to put this on the paper towel. And we'll spread it around a little bit. We have still some dry things there, but it won't bother. Let me put that over there. So you can make your poultice about 1/4 of an inch thick. That's fine. So that's about what we have here. So now I'm just going to fold this over onto it. And you can see it's going to come through, but not be too messy. So I'm just going to cut the edges a little bit because it's a lot of paper that we don't need. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Okay, great. Let me put this over here too. Excellent. Now we're going to put it on Naveen. She is our model for today, but let's pray before we do that.
Please. Yeah.
Dear gracious God, again we thank you for these simple remedies that can help us with infections and cuts and bruises and swellings. And so we ask that you bless this treatment, bless Naveen as I give her this poultice, and may it be a blessing to those who are watching so that they can know how to use it for their own needs and their own healing, because you are the healer. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen. So we'll just put this right here. Say she had an infection there. This would be an excellent thing to do. Now we're just going to turn this a little bit. We want to keep it dry, so we're just going to cover it with plastic. And Probably if she wants to keep using her hand and not get it wet, we'll just roll this up a little bit. And then we want to keep it in place. Now, if it was warm, using warm water, we would cover it with, say, wool. This is what I have now to illustrate. Probably a towel would work too, though. So we would wrap it there because we'd want to keep it nice and warm. And then you can either pin it, or we're going to use tape. You don't want to keep it so tight that it's going to cut off any circulation. But you want to have it so that it stays put. So that's our poultice. Okay, I can take these off now. Let me just move this. And let's talk a little bit more about our other options for poultices. If you don't have charcoal available. By the way, if you take charcoal from the market, make sure it doesn't have any chemicals in it, and then sterilize it, like we said, in the oven. But you can use a grater and just grate a bit of onion, onion or potato, and even just cut the onion and put it on a sore place or a place that needs healing. And one thing about the cabbage, you can just cut it up finely and also put it on as a poultice. Figs were used in the scriptures. Isaiah helped Hezekiah with figs. But mothers, when they've had a baby and their milk comes in and their breasts are just overly full of milk, they're engorged, and it's very painful. It's hard for the baby even to get milk because they're so full. Take a cold leaf and apply it to the breast. It's got the right shape, and it really helps engorgement. It really helps. So it's another way that a simple treatment can relieve some of our everyday problems that we have. Even the Native Americans in America used mashed pumpkin as a poultice. So if you look through history, if you look through different cultures, you'll find many different things that are used for poultices. Herbs, bark that's ground up. Many things have been used for healing over the centuries. So, but these are something simple that we have at home. Charcoal's not too hard to get. And so it's
كلها حاجات طبيعية وبسيطة ومتواجدة ونقدر نستخدمها بسهولة. يعني مجرد انه احنا بس بنعمل المعجون وبنحطه على الجسم وبنعمل عازل بسيط علشان اللون وخلص الموضوع. يعني كتير سهل. بنشكرك كتير على الطريقة السهلة دي النهاردة اللي تعلمناها. ونحب أعزائنا المشاهدين نذكركم بالإيميل اللي بيظهر قدامكم على الشاشة. تحبوا تبعتوا لنا أي استفسار أو أي تعليق، هنكون مبسوطين كتير إنه نعرف أي تعليق من عندكم. خليكم دايما متابعينا على البرنامج ونتعلم المرات اللي جاية طرق جديدة ومستوحاة كلها من الطبيعة، من أشياء بسيطة، من خضر، من الفحم. إزاي نعمل علاجات لنفسنا في البيت بسيطة وسهلة وغير مكلفة كمان، وفي نفس الوقت نقدر نعملها. إعدادها بسيط ومش محتاجة تعقيد. نشوفكم في حلقات جاية إن شاء الله من برنامجكم علاجك في بيتك، اللي فيه بنتعلم إزاي نعالج نفسنا في البيت.